Welcome to Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 15. And this is God speaking again. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us? And who knoweth us? I'm going to repeat that. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us? And who knoweth us? There's too many times, too many people that think they can try to hide their sins from God. They sin behind closed doors or in the actual dark where they think others cannot see. Why do we do that? It's because sin is shameful. We do not want to expose our sin to light. Yet no matter how much effort you place into hiding your plans or your sins from the Lord, He still sees your heart. He sees everything. He searches our heart, and He knows what evil is lurking in the darkness. And He will bring what is hidden in the darkness into the light. And He will judge everything accordingly. Just like when Adam and Eve first sinned, they're the first sinners. They couldn't hide. They tried. They even hid in bushes. And even hiding in the bushes, they couldn't still hide the fact that there was nakedness. It's written all over the bodies. Their shame, their guilt. And even though we are now clothed, it doesn't matter how much clothes that we put on, God still sees our nakedness. He knows everything. He knows what everybody is doing. We are all God's creation. We may not be all God's children, but God still knows what everybody is doing. Even Satan. Even when Satan created his own children, they were still a part of what God's creation. Why is that? Because God created Satan. God created the angels. So even though the angels still slept with the humans and created a half angel, half human, still those were God's creation. They ain't God's children, but they're God's creation. And did God know everything that they was doing? Yes, He did. And what does He do? He uses all evil for His good. They may have been sitting here messing up God's DNA, trying to change and get rid of God's children by replacing it with His own evilness. But God used that for His own good. He used it so He could flood the whole earth and show up and show out and say, look, I am God. You can do all that all you want to, but look what I can do. I can flood this whole entire world and start it all over again. Because let me remind you who I am. I am the I am. I am the Lord. I am the creator of all things. And what I give you, I can take away. What I've created, I can recreate. I can destroy. Do you remember your mama ever saying something to you? I brought you in this world and I could take you out. God gave life and He could take it. It says in the scriptures that we are not to fear nothing besides God. Don't fear man. Don't fear beast. Don't fear the things, even though it can kill your flesh. It cannot kill your spirit, because your spirit has to answer to God. The soul God created. And let me explain something to you, all these people, when it comes to Hollywood and all this and that, who sit there and said that they sold their soul to the devil and not belongs to the devil. That is a lie, a lie, a lie. Not saying that what they did was a lie. I'm saying that they can't sell their soul to the devil. The devil's lying to them to trick them, making them think that now they belong to him. You can't sell what isn't yours. And since the soul that belonged to you in the first place, you can't sell it. It belongs to God. It belongs to God. You can't sell your soul. See, the devil is always just full of, he's been doing this for thousands of years. Jack of all trades of liars, deceitfulness. But he is not greater than God, nor will he ever be. He can't even begin to be on God's level. Why? He's so beneath God that he is God's footstool. God sits upon his throne and takes his feet and puts it on top of the enemy. He can't even, the enemy itself can do nothing but crawl on his belly. It says so in there. Now, that may be just figuratively speaking, but it's not. It's also spiritually. That means he would never be more higher than the dust of this earth. And that's why he's roaming to and fro on this earth, trying to get you to come down to his level, to be dark, to be evil, to be petty, to be full of anger. That's why he's trying to get you to trip, stumble, and fall. Why? So you could be down on his level where he is. That is his whole goal. That is his whole purpose. And even though that is his purpose on this earth, God still uses evil for good. Because what he means to sit here and take you away from God, most of the time it brings you closer to God. I know when you sit there and read in the Bible when it says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, it made you think, well, what Pharaoh could have listened, but it was God who made him not listen. What if Pharaoh really wanted to? And he was like, okay, this is getting kind of crazy now. I'm going to go ahead and let these people go because this man ain't playing. But God was like, nah, no. Boom, harden your heart some more. Why would God do that? That seems mean. Because Pharaoh's purpose in life was for God's benefit and glory, for him to show who he is, to show his people, the Israelites, how mighty and how powerful him. God used Pharaoh to show his might and his power. Now, it kind of ends there with Pharaoh, but we don't know that's the end of what happened to Pharaoh. We don't know if after all that he didn't change his ways, because after all that he had seen and all that he had gone through, that he didn't turn and give his life to Christ. Why? Because the story wasn't about him. He wasn't the main character. Moses was, besides God. You had God and then Moses. So it ended with Moses, not with what happened to Pharaoh, because it didn't matter what happened to Pharaoh. Pharaoh's purpose was already done. God had already used him for his purpose, and boom, carried on. Moses still had to finish out his purpose. But just because your purpose in life was that God had made you kind of like somewhat evil or what have you not, that doesn't mean your story is over. We don't know how it ended with Pharaoh. The scriptures doesn't say. But there's an example of Paul, Saul, who was a murderous person who came to Christ. So many people, I don't care who you are, if you was this hardened heart Pharaoh, or if you was this Saul, Paul, murderer person in your life, and God has accepted you back and called you to him, your life is not over. That's not the end of your purpose. Now you can show God's glory even greater by saying, look how God had lifted me up from this evil person I was into the person I am today. We all have a different purpose. And just because we don't know or understand what our purpose is with God, doesn't mean that we don't need to walk in a purpose attitude.